Yahoo, Prof here. And as to try and buy time, well, Paisley tries to eat this little rubber band that comes on the snap-on packing slip from when you get your stuff repaired. I still need to scan in. They attach you to a little rubber band. It's like a service tag, yeah. Well, not to buy that sort of time, but to buy time so that I can get my work area back. We'll show you what... Oh, hey, check this out. Let me make you big. Hey. Got this as a present from Squares. It's the second gen, it was the Uncle Linus potato sack hoodie before, now it's the couch potato. It's a little bit softer. There's not as much loose hanging stuff. I think that one was literally from Paisley. I love this material because it's so soft. The other one though is not really acceptable to wear into work. I'd say this one cleaned up enough to be able to, at least on the casual days, you know. So first things first. Let me grab these out of here. For those of you that have seen some previous videos, you'll probably know what this update is all about. So let's get you locked in. Alright. So that is the first of the two snap-ons. 2 years ago, I had one rebuilt, and I've only had one extra, because I have an actual 1/4 inch CT725, but I wanted to use that shell on the CT725 AQC. AQC meaning quick change. This is the first one I did that was a bit more beat up. The first shell I got, though in half decent condition, as you can see, is still, you know, the person used this one, but you can see they didn't mistreat it or anything. There's some marks from use, nothing crazy, but on the front end too, they couldn't replace this nose cap housing or the quick change mechanism. Those are not available. They did put a new I'm gonna call that split ring. No, that's not the right term. Spring clip. Tell me what that is. I'm sure I've even told you in previous videos. Words don't always come when I want them. But this is not the new one. I did put the yellow body on. You guys probably weren't all that excited. But this is the one that was originally going to get that other body. But then I got an even nicer, not a brand new, but so new, it still had the sticker on this side. And I just gave her a clean up with tub of towels. That's one thing we should put at the bottom of every video. Tub of towels. If you guys can think of things that I recommend in these videos that you want affiliate links for, please let me know. Throw it down there. I always forget. Those I can add fairly quickly. Sadly, you get all of my videos lately unedited, any of that, because I just don't have the time. You'll see as we get further and further back. There's content going back to, I want to say, at least 2017 that hasn't come out because of stuff like that. So the easier it is, the sooner it'll go up. I try to shoot all of these new videos in one take, one video for you guys whenever possible, or at least on the same device, so I can just concatenate the files. I basically stick them together using MKV Tools Next. You basically just chuck them on there and be like boom, 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 stick them together. You don't even have to use Premiere or even Handbrake for that matter. But yeah, this guy turned out amazing. Gave this thing a clean up with tub of towels. This thing, I'm sure that person bought their 725 AHV and used it once, all but once. Now, yes, there's a little bit of wear on this, but that is by far the best QC front. And this is after being repaired, because remember, they can't repair this bit. There are a couple dingers. You can see right there's one, and that's on the metal because they did replace the LEDs and everything. But this housing is different on the QC variant. But this guy, the shell, because they do not sell yellow shells anymore, and it was only available on the 725 AHV, so like the 1/4-inch normal impact, but it's the same shell that fits the quick change was only ever in red. But you can't even get, like, if you wanted to get a 725 AHV repaired, you couldn't. It would have to give you a different color shell, either red or green, I think are the two colors they still make. But yeah, so I was pumped to find one that it's still used. So I got a I wouldn't say a reasonable price on it, to be truthful. It was about the same price I paid for the one where this shell came from, and to be truthful, about the same price as I paid for a brand spanking new one. There's kind of a cap for this gen because it's not made anymore, and if it's in good condition, it's worth an amount. If you guys need more info on that, hop on our Discord, and I can kind of go into for like how much I paid. But yeah, so I now have something that was never manufactured that I put together myself. Brand new refurbished internal guts, right? Everything from Snap-on just came back. You guys might have seen that video. And then this guy here is the newest shell I can basically get, and it cleaned up beautifully. Guys, just remember, if you're gonna sell tools, clean up. If you're gonna sell anything, just give it a wipe down. You know, a bit of a wipe can make even an old tired electronic look amazing. If you watched Tech Yes City, he always recommends for plastics like WD-40 because it can give you this little sheen that it might not have had before. I've had very good luck because of the lanolin and aloe, and don't use it on a screen, don't dare, but on plastics and rubbers, it actually like revitalizes it and even makes it a little bit sticky, like not in a bad way, but like grippy. Use that on the stuff. My gosh, this guy probably could have gotten even more. I could tell it was basically new because it still had the sticker on. Dude probably needed it for one project, you know, like the previous owner, because I bought it from, I don't know if it was a pawn shop or a tool reseller, something like that. But the owner before them probably bought it for a single project, used it. A lot of people don't use the 1/4-inch ones that often unless you're doing internal stuff or like smaller specific tasks. Usually they're going to be on like a 3/8 or a 1/2 inch when it comes to auto mechanic stuff. Yeah, they just never cleaned it, threw it in their thing, and then at some point either traded it in or sold it off or something. Like a whole toolbox got repoed with all the tools in or something. Yeah, you can even see, I don't know if you can see the little circle that's left on there, but the sticker was still on there when I got it. Cleaned up amazing. My recommendation, I'm not saying you have to have clean, pristine tools. If you look at mine, they're never the case, right? They're always operational, and they're not like, I try to keep them not disgustingly dirty. Before you put everything away, when you're done with something, just grab out a tub of towel, wipe everything down. And if you saw the previous pictures of what this looked like, it was maybe 5-10 minutes of it was a bit more forceful scrubbing on it, but came right off. Now imagine if you did that right away, you know what I mean? Now on to what we're actually talking about in this video and why it exists. I know you guys had like an 8-minute teaser for those that follow the channel. But as you see, a bunch of stuff came in from LTT. My order from November that I ordered, my mom's, I bought her the, what do they call it? The LTT, like it's their laptop. It's not a bag. It's not like a full-on laptop bag. It's like a sleeve, but it's a little bit more than a sleeve because most laptop sleeves just hold the laptop. No charger, no anything else. Like there's enough to throw maybe a tablet in there if you need it, or a notebook in there with it. Easily put a charger on the outside. It does make a little bulge, but at least you have a like a spot for it. Whereas before, like you'd have to carry it separately or just like shove it in on top of your bag. The laptop sleeve is built well enough where you could easily use it. It actually comes with a strap, or you could use it on its own. Rather than putting it in your already existing bag. But it is small enough and thin enough that you shouldn't have to, like you can still fit it in a bag, in a backpack. Like I know a lot of people, it seems to be at least women, carry like a bag to work because they have their like purse or they have their whatever bag, you know? And rather than carrying something for the laptop, they'd rather just be able to put their laptop in that bag without knowing it gets wrecked. I've seen this on, hey, to each their own, right? They don't want to have a bag around carrying a laptop, whereas a lot of my jobs, I have to. So, that then defines the type of bag that I'm getting. So she seemed to really like it. She wasn't expecting it, which was good. I knew she needed a new one, or a new laptop. You guys have seen it before, probably. It's still not set up because I'm a horrible son. It's the ThinkPad X1 Carbon Gen 12. So, it's actually stupid lightweight. Pretty thin. You still got upgradable RAM. No, not upgradable RAM. Replacement M.2 SSD in here. Not upgradable RAM, though. I was surprised at how light and thin laptops have gotten, and the keyboard's still feeling as good as this one does. I know I shouldn't be too surprised since I own like a Razer Blade Stealth, but comparatively, the Blade Stealth's keyboard feels like shit. Supposedly they have done better on their latest one this year, but they also, like their smallest laptop's like a 15 or a 16 now, and they have an 18-inch laptop, which is insanity. I think for what it was, the Blade Stealth, I would not buy another Razer laptop again, though, with all the issues that I had, and basically the support's another huge thing. Technically, that thing, which no reason it shouldn't hit Windows 11, but it doesn't have driver support on Windows 11 because Razer just never signed them for it. So if you don't go through Windows 10, you do not have drivers. And you also are going to need the recovery. Like I made a recovery USB when I bought it because it saved my ass before. And yeah, you're going to be missing some stuff and potentially have to do wonky things if you don't do that. And then also there are still some things like it didn't get proper BIOS and UEFI updates for just like how Windows 11 handles things versus not. I would say in general, like don't count on it to sleep once in Windows 11, even if you did the clean install with recovery media upgrade to Windows 11 thing. It'll go to sleep if you tell it to, but doing it on its own and waking on its own, it seems to not be able to handle. And there's just no repercussions for that. Lenticular, a follower of the channel, pretty active on the Discord. You guys might have seen him around similar channels. He often donates to Paul's Hardware and Bit with Kyle's streams, like the systems giveaway. He had his just completely die on it, like dead one day. And remember, mine has had new motherboard, new SSD, new Wi-Fi, new battery, new charger ×2. Now, technically, it's a Type-C charger. I ended up just using my own in the end. And then, like, Geek Squad had issues getting replacement parts. I already knew that kind of was the thing. That's why, if you're going to buy one, buy a warranty. That's all I'll say. That, like, if you look at, and like with me, I knew that was the case when I bought it. Same thing with my Surface Laptop Studio, too. I know those are basically impossible to service. So I bought a warranty for it because I knew what I was getting into. That thing is damn heavy. Having picked up that X1 Carbon, I'd love to go that direction if I could. The big thing for me is I want a dedicated NVIDIA GPU. And for work, I was looking at an X1 Carbon Extreme, but they've killed that line now, though, too. As a couple of years ago, apparently, because I was explaining it, and they're like, "Oh, that'd be awesome for like I thought it'd be awesome for like on-site work where you can still run what you need, but it's lightweight, a little bit bigger, so you can get the H series processors in it. So it's powerful when docked because I basically always run at least my work laptop when docked, not my personal one. That's why I'm fine with using a little bit bigger laptop because I'm not using it as portably. Like it's like 50-50 rather than like 90-10, you know." But yeah, bought a warranty for it as well. And so far the feet fell off and Microsoft just sent me new ones. So, and they actually have surface replacement parts now. So they're getting better. They're getting better. But now currently all of the surfaces, unless you buy the for business or for education or for enterprise models, they're all ARM. So I was considering getting my mom one instead of that X1 Carbon, but any of the new ones that you can buy yourself as a normal person will have ARM. You got to go through a reset or like a reseller, kind of like Tenable won't sell you Nessus unless you go through like a reseller. You can't buy a for education or for business model without going through at a minimum like a CDW. So good luck if you want a non-ARM surface now, which kind of blows because at least the Intel-based surfaces have been annoying to repair when they break, but like from a software and Windows and a usability standpoint, like perfect. I know updating them for some people can be a bit awkward. That's because it happens different, guys. Can't apply what you apply to your custom built PC or even like a Dell or Lenovo PC to a Surface. The Surfaces are basically, you know, very similar to how you manage an Apple device. They have their own special images and they have driver packages. Actually makes them easier. It's just a completely different bit of workflow. So beyond that though, let's take a look at what we got from LTT here. You might have been eyeing it up. Yeah, this is the one I already had. I ordered this because LTT sold out of their bit sets immediately. Now, I was fine with that though because I have a number of sets of screwdrivers. Sets of screwdrivers. iFixit kits. I have a number of iFixit kits. And if you caught the end of the last video, what I figured out is that they put extra foam in here so I could put my extension under. This is a straight Wiha 4mm extension here. I could take foam out that was below this flexible extension that I hate. But don't get me wrong, people are like, oh, that's the best thing ever. I disagree vehemently. Because if you want to use it as a straight extension, it sucks. However, if you do need to get into like a weird place or something, yep, it functions. And it's better than the cheap Chinese knockoff stuff. A big reason why it sucks though is that is non-magnetic. That's like the number one reason why it's like basically unusable. Do you see that? Like the bit just fell off. Look at that. That's basically unusable. Whereas if you go to the Wiha, they make a non-magnetic version still, but they do not. They discontinued this magnetic one. Magnetic there, and there you go. You basically got yourself a long, extended precision screwdriver. And this is pretty skinny up here. Not as skinny as the bit maybe, but pretty skinny. So found that out like right at the end of the last video that we were going over for some of the LTT precision screwdriver stuff, that there was actually a piece of foam under there I could rip out and put those in there. I did find, and if you remind me, I will put in the description, I did find a magnetic company on Amazon that's like some cheap Chinese, it's not great. But if you want and it comes with an even worse one of these flexible extensions. Beautiful. It's like $5, I think, on Amazon for the set of them. I bought 2 or 3 sets of those. They work. They're nowhere near as good as the Wiha one, but if it's like you need an extension and you want a straight one that is actually magnetic, and when you put actual force on it, doesn't go like that. Yeah, it's a thing. But what we didn't have last video was the LTT bits. So I bought, because they're still on a combo deal, a screwdriver and a bit set. I believe to my buddies Frozen Slate and his brother already got their sets. One or both of them also got ratcheting screwdrivers. I believe they both got retros. I'm very confused as to why, when I saw the retro screwdrivers go out, I was rather confused as to why they did that, like why they thought the retro colorway would be a good one to market the screwdriver. That was also, it seemed very soon after the original as well to me. And what I mean by that is here's the original. That says LTT Screwdriver, the orange and black. You know, and this one's kind of configured the way I want to configure it. And we'll kind of get into what some of this other stuff over here is regarding that. But you know, like this is the LTT screwdriver. You almost need, before it takes hold, you need to have like a defined image slash what do they call that? Not ID like industrial design, but trade dress. You know, think about it that way. Like I wouldn't have come out with a unique colored model so soon when you only recently had sold out, or not sold out, but like delivered the original, like this guy that established the thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. You guys let me know, but that's kind of my thoughts there. Is I think the reason why the retro didn't do well is it came out too close to the original's release. Also, the retro colorway seems like a weird one to choose for a screwdriver, if you ask me. The Noctua one made much more sense. I believe that didn't sell too well, comparatively as well either. But Noctua wanted it, and like their only thing with making them was that, hey, if you put that out, it has to be able to fit in our coolers. So what came out of that was this extension, which is actually really cool. Most extensions require the extra little nub in there. I'm sure you've seen it on a lot of people call them like impact power bits. I'm trying to think about something blades, you know, but they have a little notch in there for locking into an impact driver or a quick change chuck. This one specifically is designed to go into just a standard, something that takes a standard bit. And this is, I know a bunch of people are like, that's not a standard one, it's a little short. Yeah, it is a little bit shorter. Some brands, some brands do also make shorter ones. I think Mako is one, and I forget, somebody else had another one. It's not uncommon to have shorter bits, and if that's what allowed them to have 6 individual bits in here with the size they did, which is my understanding, hey, I'm for it. I just bought some more bits from them. You know what I mean? Will they exist forever? No. This does have like a little, they left the milling marks on here, probably actually for more grip, to be truthful. Supposedly the end of this guy is made thicker than the bit would be, so it's because they know it, most people are going to use it in their screwdrivers, that there's a tighter tolerance here than there would be on like another brand, for example. Let's try it on the Scout Leather Co. and see if we can go in far enough to lock in. I don't think it is. That's how far that goes in. Yep. So that's your length difference between an LTT bit and where it would need to lock in with a standard bit. That little bit there. Because this basically magnet was pushed down to the top here, right? So sadly, even though the Scout Leather Co. would prefer to have no notch in it, right? Like, here's the notch I'm talking about right there, because it's just straight and it actually makes it more wobbly to have the notch in. Not a possibility, I'm afraid. Here is the hex bit driver, not the big boy Bernally, and whoa, yeah, when they said they made it bigger, look at that. And the Scout Leather guy burnishes his, so yep, there's always going to be some variance there. Let's watch this. See, that fits fine. So I can prove that LTT definitely did what they said they did there, in that this little extension here will not fit everywhere their bits will, because it's definitely made to the tolerance of their screwdriver. Like, they know the plus minus they get on these and the variance, right? This is made to fit their driver, and I just showed you one it did fit in, but it didn't seat all the way because it's not long enough. And then I just showed you one where it can't go in at all because it's actually too big. And but those two are from the same company, mind you. Probably have some more around here I could attempt to deal with. But it's not really what this video is about. So we got their big driver. I bought, I think, according to my purchase history, I already have 2 of these. I have no fucking clue where they are, so I bought another. But yes, where it comes to the Noctua is that Noctua said that, hey, if we're making a Noctua colored screwdriver, at a minimum, it needs to be long enough to work with our tower cooler heatsinks, right? And that extension there is long enough to do it. For example, here is one of their purpose-built ones that I bought originally before they started coming with coolers. If you buy a high-end cooler now, it is long enough. So it looks like they made it long enough on there so that the knurling would still be above. So you can still start it by your fingers, by your hand, and theoretically the knurling won't mess up your heatsink because it's not going down into there. I would still personally use the Noctua screwdriver. This guy is pretty darn thick, and as close as they try to get this extension to this, at least my launch edition LTT screwdriver, that this is still slightly thicker, slightly rougher too, than the actual screwdriver itself. Let's check. Here's a much newer one. And this is my custom one from LTX 2023. I feel like there's more play in that. Holy jeez. Bigger. I think those are closer. I'd have to get out the calipers. Yeah, those are bang on. Like, this might be ever so slightly thicker. What I'm doing is I'm using the hex flat side of this bit, and it magnets to the side really nice, and you can just push it forward and it will clip or hit. And this one it definitely does. You can feel it right there. Like, grab the lip of that there. So there might be some production variants in the LTT screwdrivers. I know the colored ones these were cold set or not cold set, cold assembled. Because I did it myself at the convention. This is the one I use all day, every day. It's in my iconic yellow. Now this is cool. They hope to bring you being able to custom configure ones at some point, where you'd actually kind of like a Xbox controller configurator, but there'd be a heavy, like tax, because the people at LTT or LMG or one of the places would be assembling them like on a order by order basis. I feel like there's a way they could get around that, in that they'd like take orders. They wouldn't do one off, like, oh, this one person gets this one order and goes and makes it. No, they batch them basically. But hey, I only know stuff about that. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't do, what you do is you take like pre-orders effectively, kind of like what a lot of the custom pen companies and custom knife companies do, and then or the Kickstarters do. And I'm not saying go as long as that, but you could have like a, hey, to get a custom one, order by the 15th to get it shipped out this month, sort of thing. And then you do a next batch, the next month, next batch, the next month, sort of. And then you could also throw in there, if you wanted it, custom colors. I think yellow, they actually said, was one of the hardest to sell out, which, I always questioned my color choice here, because I knew I wanted yellow with a red ass, like a button. Kind of like if you guys saw my custom Xbox controller. Or my phone, where it's red with a yellow case. The Ronald McDonald phone. That comes from my previous job workspace. I didn't know about the black here, though. Red was too much. But now that I see this thing all the freaking time, I'm like, I like that one. But yes, the thickness here on these, this feels slightly thinner. Especially with this in there. So, I don't know if things have tightened up or not, or, like where stuff's gone. But, yeah, I think they strayed from the standard color too soon. And that's why they got stuck with a lot of retro ones. Or they ordered too many. I'm not sure. Because there are minimum MOQs and stuff like that. I know actually quite a bit about that sort of stuff due to doing group buys back in the day for custom keyboard parts, components, that sort of stuff. Back in the day, and we're talking like 2008, 2012 here, you couldn't just order parts to build a custom board. You had to have a Switch dealer, and I was that for a number of group buys. Or like this person could get PCBs. They knew they had a contact in the industry. Like, because if you just did like the print order PCB thing, you'd get garbage ones unless you really worked with them. Otherwise, if you knew a company that already making PCBs, you could kind of get in there. Things in general in the maker community over the past like 10 to 15 years have gotten way better. But yes, I ordered these two bad boys here together as a kit, because you get a decent discount. Then I ordered another screwdriver, and you're like, well, why did you order another screwdriver? The reason for that is they have their custom caps here. There are 3 of them. That's basically why I ordered another one. Also, I have like 3 or 4 iFixit kits. So, whoa! That one rips. I have 3 or 4 iFixit kits. So, it'll always have a home. We've talked about before, though, about how I actually do not like, and this is where it may or may not have a home, because I actually do not like the LTT precision screwdriver shape as much as the iFixit shape. So, there, iFixit, you can have that because you're being pissy about other people making the same product that you did. I understand that they were one of your main advertisers, but bro, if the thought is like, oh, we make those and now a company we advertise with does, they're our competitor, we can't be on good terms with them anymore. Get over it. You didn't invent this shit. Your original kits, which I've talked about owning, were the same cheap Chinese garbage. Maybe, and I know this for a fact, you kind of like went and picked out the good Chinese garbage. You know, like, hey, of all these really cheap kits out there, this is the least worst one. Or you picked maybe the parts of what would end up being the least worst one. You know, you still don't ship a magnetic 1/4 inch to 4mm adapter in your kits. Buy one of these now. I will try to put it in the video if I remember. This should be in all of them. What that does is it lets you take, you know, LTT screwdriver, for example, magnetically put it in here, and then it magnetically holds the bits into there. That would not cost you that much more. This is a very quality Wiha one. So, and I have my problems with the iFixit kit, but they are still by far the easiest to obtain, the most complete, the most easy to recommend. Single, like, you can just be like, they're like, somebody's like, oh, I need to work on this, and I'm like, hey, you got like $50, go and buy one of these. And to be truthful, if you're a working professional, unless you have a, like, you sit at your desk or your workbench day in and day out, and you use, like, you know, like, say when I was doing iPhones, we had dedicated screwdrivers for that. That's because they were torque rated. But even then, like, say Dell's come apart better with the JCIS one than a Phillips one. I would go and buy, like, Moody Tools, Wiha, Wiha, you know, like the most quality JCIS #1, or one of the Japanese brands, since it's JCIS bits out there, and I would probably buy 2 of them. Keep one on there, and then if you got, you know, if you're running 1 workbench to that thing, you probably got 2 workbenches. So then probably buy 3, because you're putting 1 on each workbench, and you got 1 extra in case it decides to just strip itself off or something, and you can warranty it or replace it or whatever. But these are great when you're going on site, and or you're just, you don't only repair Dells, or you don't only repair Lenovo's, or whatever, because it's got a bit of everything in here. And for the home gamer, like, this #2 is kind of fucked. I just realized that. This is great because you don't know what you need. You know, you're just gonna try and open it. It's like, by the way, if you need to get access to your toaster, that's the one you need right there. Yep, even my mom uses iFixit kits because she wants to clean up the toaster, and it's got a security screw. So we got 2 of these now. I don't even remember which one's the newer and older one at this point. Doesn't really matter. I grabbed this set because it does have the most current, not, like, it's the metal one, not the cheap plastic where the top pops off. It does kind of spin. Ergonomically, if you look at where you stick this in your hand here, hold it here, this is much better. Now, the reason why LTT couldn't do that is they insisted on putting their same bit mechanism that they have in their big boy screwdriver into their little boy screwdriver, right? I don't know. Personally, I would be hard-pressed to use that, because if I can narrow down what I need to 4 bits, right, I'm going to buy 4 dedicated screwdrivers, personally. I think if any of you end up doing any of this professionally, you too would end up doing that. You just have much more control, especially with the ones that have the shank that goes all the way from the tip to the ass end where it's got the spinner on it. You are, like, you know, you're on that. You can feel the screw. And that is quite important, because they're, especially when they get real small, like iPhone sized, it's super duper easy to strip them out. Like, if you're running, like, one of the easiest way to pick up iPhone screws, not that you would use, I mean, you could use one of these for that, no problem, I guess, would be, like, you just poke you go like that. Just, and it like embeds it in your skin and you pick it up. Because it's that small. I shit you not. I may or may not eventually have some videos that have some of that out in, because that was many years ago. But hey, we haven't had videos, most videos since 2017 haven't come out. So there's that. Let's open up this last screwdriver. There you go. Hey, it's another LTT screwdriver. If you guys were wondering how to get the ass end off here, and you're like, why would you even need to do that? Great question. End cap set. There you go. This is why I got 3, is because it comes with 3 end caps. Technically made by Creator Warehouse, not by LTT. Just remember that. Okay, there's your 3 end caps. There is normal black. That's the same as the sock on here, right? There's concave, if you like putting, or sorry, convex. No, concave, yes. My brain was correct before I double-checked and got it wrong. So if you like putting your fingy on the top like this, you might want the convex cap, or sorry, concave cap, right? And if you do a lot of palming like that, you might want the convex cap. Convex, normal, which is flat, concave, which goes in. There we go, got it right. And this is the standard orange one. So all you do is there's a flat in here, and it goes flat, flat. Let's see if we can zoom into 5. If we look here, there's a flat on the back of the thing, and when you spin around in the bearing, there's a flat there. So I just stick my nail in there. Could use a flathead screwdriver. Oh, geez. Okay, this one's harder than the other one I've done. 1 second. Flathead bit. I don't know if they have a recommended way of doing it. This is how I did it, though. You just kind of jam the flathead in there. And yes, you can fit more in there if you're like me and you always plan to have 1 bit in the screwdriver. Lock that one center. There we go. Got it loose. I thought I freaking got it loose. Holy shit. I need the smaller flathead, but don't use the biggest one. Biggest one is actually too big. Oh my gosh. How tight. Okay, let's see if I can do some of these other ones. That is what's supposed to happen. So you take this cap off. There's an O-ring. So it's ass capless. Alright, same sort of thing when you put it on there. You line up the flats and you're done. And basically once it gets tight, you're good. You can tweak it a little bit. And if you want it a little bit tighter or a little bit looser after the fact. But effectively once it gets tight, you're good. There you go. That is the convex one there for you. See, it's got a little dip in there. So if you like doing that, and that is a way that you use the screwdriver, and actually LTT with this bigger gap here that fits the bits, wouldn't be too bad for that. So let me do the other one here. This should be my original one. Not that any of these have seen a ton of. Holy jeez. I do not know what their recommendation is for this, but so far my recommendation is working like shit, I can tell you that much. Holy shit. If you can see here, I tried hard enough on this one. I even got a bit of marring on the aluminum there. So it is on there bloody tight. Holy shit. Why is this suddenly so hard to get off? I mean, this should be like you just saw me do one of them. Yeah, that is really friggin' on there. I'm trying to think of what I can get. A pliers wrench, maybe? 1 second. All right, so I'm back. LTT is trying to sell you more tools. That's what I'm telling you. You need a Nipex pliers wrench, a piece of cabinet liner, and a Nipex Cobra. Of course, be like me and buy all the limited edition ones, which are the only sizes I have at the moment that are accessible to me. Yeah, so you get that in there, size is the right size. You can kind of wedge it in there. Then it still wasn't good enough for me to get my hands around it and unscrew it. I tried just the cabinet liner. You guys have probably opened jars with like kind of those rubber, like little rubber mats that are grippy. Cabinet liner effectively does the same thing. And you'll not be reassembling it with tools. I'll let you know. Yeah, now there's a nick in it, so it's never going to spin as well as it did. Great. You can hear it probably even. That's gonna annoy the crap out of me. I may even one day take this cap off and because I'm sure I can pull that screw out, get this piece off, take a little file it down. But yeah, when you reassemble it, just do it till it gets tight. I just broke my nail. It's not tight enough though. Holy jeez. What? Ow. Is this O-ring that much thicker or something? You can see it doesn't fit based on the fact it's not all the way down. Fine. Something. I don't want to say changed, or my original one was way easier. I had actually accidentally taken the cap off once. At this rate, they're going to need to include a little frickin' wrench in here. I wonder what their recommended. Is that down far enough? Yeah. Alright. So if you want the convex one, this isn't gonna, you're not that type of person, you're this type of person where you're shoving it into your hand like that, or even like that, right? That's the convex type of person out there. You're definitely not the type to do this sort of thing, which I am. I quite regularly do for like real precision, because you can push down with your finger and then just twist here. This convex cap, the flat one's actually not bad for that, not bad at all. But we'll change that one out to be black on here. Putting all my old caps back. I'm definitely gonna shoot them a message and let them know, like, holy hell, that is a bit of a pain in the old ass. Nothing on the packaging about how to do this, but I personally do not see how to do it any other way. I was joking that they're trying to sell you more tools because they don't sell Nipex. Or do they? Yeah, look at this. Here. This is holding those pieces internally so they're lined up and flat. Bruh. Alright, with the gripper. Nothing. Literally nothing. Now, from the perspective of, hey, we don't want these to ever come off, great. It does go almost right away once you can get some leverage on it. Holy frick. That is on there for those wondering. Like, that is no joke. Yeah, and then I mar up the corner. So you hear... because it slips because there's not enough. Like, you almost need a specific tool that's flats that comes in this way, but okay, so in this case, these jaws are actually too thick this way, right, to put in this way. But they're also too thick this way, so you only get the corner on it, and that's where it's biting in. Like I said, it'd be easy enough to clean up because you just take this screw off, take the bearing off. It looks to be a sealed, or it's not a sealed bearing, but a caged bearing. So it's not going to at least go everywhere. Then you can just take a little file, put it on the edges there. But like, whew, if they were worried about this not coming off, yeah, it's not. The issue is, to those of you that do want to change these, at least my original one, was easy to take off, like to the point where, like, flicking it really hard, it would come off, right? Or it would at least loosen. I should rephrase that. It would loosen. But then you just stick your fingernail in it. Like, here, look, it's broke, or at least didn't break off, but like flexed that enough to have a little it's not hitting the light just right, but like a little like it's like a weak part of my nail now, basically. And that's how I did the original, is I kind of, because there's a flat to a flat, you should just be able to shove your finger in there, unscrew it. But it, as you saw when I was putting on the orange guys, or taking off the orange guys, not really a thing. Even putting this part on by hand is now, at least for me, this is the one that's staying at home, the black on black version. Because way easier to lose the black on black version. Also, I have my black on black stubby somewhere around here. You know, they can be best buds, right? But yeah, I'm gonna have to give some feedback about those end caps. And realistically, if you really wanted this thing to rip, you can hear it and feel it stutter, because you know, this is a steel, you know, proper tool steel made tool. I mean, Apex tools are really nice. This is just aluminum with a light anodize on it, light black anodize. But so you can feel that little bit of nick in there by using something like this. I do wonder what their intended way of changing these is, and if they have one, like at a minimum, QR code the box. At a minimum. So then I could be like, you know, can just say like instructions, QR code. Yeah. lmg.gg/precision multibit is apparently where I need to go for more information. All right, let's see, before I eat my own words. If anything, the QR code should directly, you can directly do a short link, that's fine. Because you always might need to update something, but it should directly to how to change those out. lmg.gg/precision multi-bit. Okay, it just brings you to the normal multi-bit page, not even the end cap page. If I click on the end cap page, all right, whoa, that's a knock you over. Okay, so here is the, if we put in LMD GG/precision multi-bit, it just takes you to the normal precision screwdriver page. This will not actually have anything at all on the end caps, but they will be linked here. Oh, if you're on Firefox, by the way, the leaving the reviews thing, blocked by ad blocker. Yeah, which is why my ad blocker's off. Not that you should have ads here, but for some reason it... Oh, here, a tutorial for how to change your end caps. Yeah, there should be a QR code for this right on the...
Change the end cap on F and align the two parts as
shown
to keep that in place while you twist the cap off. Once removed, you can twist in your new end cap while still holding the bits.
10mm. Let's find out. Maybe I'm crazy because I couldn't get in. Okay. So they're saying 10mm wrench. We don't necessarily have to use one. We can go grab one if we must. But, for example, I can adjust this to 10mm. No problem. The issue is there's not enough meat on that. For example, you can see where I've chewed it up, right? There's not enough meat unless you get something up in there. Like they just casually show a 10mm wrench doing this by holding it like that, right? I will go grab a 10mm. So they show you doing this and placing, you gotta line these two and placing it like so, right? And then being able to unscrew it when it's positioned like this. I'm very correct in the fact that there is not enough meat on the top it is locked in. See? Locked in. But there's not enough meat to... I guess maybe. I did loosen these up, don't forget though. Just to clarify. Because I put them back on with my hands when it seemed... Okay, yep, you can do it. I recommend doing their video way. I don't know why I can't do that with... Like, why can't I do that same thing? Yeah, that's 10mm. Hey, I even hit the correct size on the Knipex. It's almost if I've gotten pretty used to using them. Right? It's like, I don't get why the Knipex also wouldn't work for this same thing. Like, that should be the flat. And we hold it. It does, I guess. That is very precarious. Do it their way. I still don't think that... You gotta remember, I put these back on by hand. You saw me going at it with this. Now, once I had this, you know, the cabinet liner on there, and broke it loose, I could do it by hand. So I fear you still may have to break out something like that on the other end. But using the 10mm wrench did work a little bit better, probably because the head on it, you know, here, look at the size of this versus the size of that. Did work a little bit better. I will still say that lip is so small, it would work better if you had something you could put in this way to really get up in there. But then was, you know, right angled so you could hold it tight, if that makes sense. You do, like they say to line it up first. I don't think you need to. And I'll show you why. Here, we did the black one. Let's do this orange one. If you put this on here, you will notice right away when this falls in or not. I'll show you what I mean. Because it won't go in the tool. And then when you turn it far enough, let's do a 2x. So they say to line the flats up, which is what you're going to have to do eventually. There's a flat, right? But if you have your wrench on the bottom part, it won't sink in unless the flats are lined up. There you go. But that is all that is holding on. So, like, is a very small lip there. That's where I'm saying realistically we need something to go up into it if you really want to. Also, I don't know and I can't confirm or deny getting that off. Getting that cap off without like putting the Cobra on it with you know, some of this cabinet liner or rubber, or you could maybe use a cloth. Generally you want something that's going to grip onto it really nice without marring the surface. I don't know if I would have been able to get it off with just even the 10mm trick like they're showing. Now I could get them back off because when I put them back on, I put them hand tight, not robot tight. Now, would they rather have them robot tight? Probably, because most people are never going to swap them, right? You can see how powerful these magnets are, by the way. They're attracting each other. I need to put away some tools. 1 second here, let me see if they say anything else.
Alternatively, you can pinch the end of your bit storage to keep it still while replacing your end cap, but it may be a little harder. If you run into any problems along...
Well, if you're running, even at them, they show, oh, you should be able to do it with your fingers. My original one, sure. The ones that just came in, oh no. What we're here for is actually not this charade I've been playing around with that was supposed to be super easy, because my other one, you just, if running somebody else in the YouTube comments of that video mentioned excessive noise and something else. I'm pretty sure they, like, because this is such soft aluminum, they might have ran into what I did. Now, I'm not hugely concerned. Like I said, if you want to fix it, you just file it down. You have to take the little screw out. Take this off again. Take the little screw off. Now that you know how to do it. And now that it's not robot, you know, it's like the thumb screws on cases where I imagine there's just some robot with robot thumbs. Or somehow, you know, we have like one thumb. How they're putting thumb screws on as a robot is they actually have like two thumbs. So they're like, gah, and then, ugh. You know, like that's how I imagine every thumb screw is put on a computer case. Is with robots that have thumbs, but you know, and not only like you think of a thumb screw, and you're like, I take it with my thumb and I pinch it between here, you know, like something like that, and you go like this. No, they're like dual thumbing it somehow and like robot strengthening it. No, don't tell me they just use screwdrivers. So what we have here is, oh, actually, before we get to this, I just bought another set of Torx bits. You're like, why do you need another set of Torx bits? Well, on this guy, I use this thing enough. I had to get it a new Mr. Philippe number 2. I actually wore it out. It happens. especially when you have shitty screws that come with light fixtures. And this one's got like the finish worn off, but the bit's fine. So yeah, it does happen where you need new bits. That's not why. What's happening here is that they do not ship. Check my black one. They do not ship with Torx, if I recall correctly. Yeah, no Torx. They do not ship with Torx. Let's do a 2X here. They ship with, this is my black on black on black that I was one of the first people to get, and you can see this is why they didn't ship the black finish on the shank that they originally wanted, is because you basically put this in touch with anything else metal of the same or greater hardness, it comes off. So what this comes with is magnet bit, square 2, square 1, Phillips, big, what is it? They say if that's a 4, that's a 3, so 3, 4, 5, or is it 2.5, 4, 5? I don't remember what the millimeters are. But 3 flats. Then you have 3 Phillips, number 2, number 1, number 0. That's actually pretty uncommon to have a number 0 in 1/4-inch drive. So you can get around that with a 1/4-inch adapter to 4mm driver. And then you have you have an H2 and an H. So they're saying hex 2.5 and hex, I think it should be 4mm. 4mm is really common. Oh, it's 2, 2.5, 4, Phillips 1, 2, sorry, 2, 1, 0. Then you got square 1, square 2, because they're Canadian. Us Americans, unless you're working on cabinetry or maybe woodworking, you do not need those. So I have swapped my original driver, and I want to do this to all of my drivers for those in question. Why I have more Torx bits is because I want to have all my screwdrivers set up the same so I can count on what's in them. Now I will admit, the same week I gave, or maybe the next week after giving Linus crap about including square bits and then not including, like, you can't even buy pause drive for those of you that are over in Europe or those of you that build IKEA. So this is how I actually normally run mine. Phillips 2 always in there because that's what you build PCs with. That's what you do stuff around the house with. Then we have the 3 slotted, and I actually added 3 Torx bits. And you're like, why would you add 3 Torx bits? Well, we have a T15. That's for small Torx in the US. Then we have a T20. That is for basically all the newer Noctua heat sinks, Threadripper socket, AM5 socket, any of the stuff in PC that uses Torx uses a T20. And a T25. That's your like decking wood screw style screw. So these are way more useful than the square bits. How do I achieve having these 3 in here, you ask? By always leaving the Phillips 2 in the tip and removing the 2 square bits. That's basically all I do. Because then I have the 3 hexes, all of which have been used. I used the 2.5 and the 4 a lot. Water cooling, those are very common. 0, 1, magnet, Phillips 2. So basically I pull out the square 1, square 2, and I put the Phillips 2 in the tip, and then I put in T15, 20, 25, because I use those all the time. If I'm putting in a wood screw around here, I will normally be using a drill. Probably actually not a drill. I'll be using an impact driver, like you saw at the beginning of this video. But those are just more useful to me. Now, I have had projects where, like I said, I was fixing some of our cabinets, and everything in those uses square. Or if you go and buy cabinet screws, those still use Robertson square bits. If you want the quote-unquote premium screws, which you do when doing woodworking stuff. Or pocket hole screws. For whatever reason, those still use square drive instead of just using Torx. But I don't do that stuff very much, and when I put new wood screws in, it's going to be using either a T15 or a T25, and then realistically, a lot of new PC stuff is using the T20. Now that you know, like Noctua's coolers, They went with T20. I'm pretty sure they went with T20 because of the fact that the AM5 socket that they're updating their brackets for was already using T20. The Threadripper used the T20. I think some of the Intel Xeon stuff where you put the CPU right in and then use the cooler to mount it, those also use T20. So that is what I've done. If I need a square bit, I'll go and get one, because at least what I'm normally using this for, whether it's around the house, which is going to be Mr. Phillip, or you know, it's going to be the Torx. Flatheads are needed just for stupid flathead things. To be truthful, more often than not, I'm not using them as screwdrivers. I'm using them to pry things. I didn't say that. So, but that's why I need these, is because their kits come with Torx 3 through Torx 30, only one T15, T20, T25. So I already bought one of these kits. Actually, I think I bought two of them, knowing I was going to put some in my... Let's find out. Did I buy two kits or just buy one? I might have to buy one more kit then. Yes, I only bought... Okay, so, you know, if I want to fill this in, which I do because I use this with my stubby all the time, I will have to buy another Torx kit to fill that in. I will have a lot of extra things, I think, the LTT crew, because they'll sell you a kit that has like a whack ton of extra Phillips 2s. Like it'll have, here you go, 2 Phillips 3s, 4 Phillips 2s, 4 Phillips 1s, and 2 Phillips 0s. Cool. Do that with Torx. It's nice to have a full Torx kit, but realistically the ones you need are T25, T20, T15. That's what you need. So I'm going to have to buy another kit next time I order from LTT, because I still haven't replenished the original kit I stole to make this guy. But my other two, my yellow one and my black on black one, will now be able to get from this kit, because they gave you a no skip set here of T3, which is fucking tiny. Normally, you're lucky to get down to normally you get down to T6, right? With a normal kit of bits. The fact that these 1/4-inch ones goes down, okay, T5, the reason why that's important, that was what you take apart Apple specifically, and then once PC computers started trying to be Apple, even more so with their unibody aluminum, you know, like that my Razer gaming MacBook you just saw earlier, that uses a T5. So having a T5 in here, amazing. The fact that the 1/4-inch bits go down to T3 is insane. For example, this kit does go down to a T2. This is iFixit 4mm. A lot of these kits, even like this, only would go down to a T5. Like, it was hard to find prior to the updated iFixit kits. Like, and yes, I'm calling the design that all of you probably know and love, this design, the updated one, because it really is. There were even ones that kind of looked like this before this, but Scribedriver, I have one. You maybe have seen it before. But yes, I picked this up so that all my screwdrivers could have it. Now come to realize I need to buy another set of them. They did increase the prices of these bits. I will probably forever be sitting with a shit ton of T3, T4s, and you use T6s every now and then, but T7, 8, I think I've used T9 before, but not that much. 10 and up are far more common. I think I might have used 8 once or twice. 7's like a weird one, though. I don't know that I've ever used a T7. They probably don't think people are going to have 3 screwdrivers and kit them out a certain way or whatever. Yeah, my suggestion would be have a kit of those that has like 3 T15s, T20, T25s, maybe the 1 T30 and 1 T10 in there too, to even it out. You know, depending on how many bits come in a kit. So let's take a look at what this video is actually about, and that is LTT's bit set. It in its packaging is smaller than the iFixit. Right? Interesting, right? 61 pieces, supposedly. I don't know what the iFixit's supposed to have. Let's go find out. I think that's the Mako. I think the Mahi, or it might be the Mahi. I think the Mako's the bigger one. I've recommended, sold, and bought many a kit. Let's see if it's the Mako. It is the Mako. $40 from them. Includes how many bits? 64 precision bits. There we go. And what's the LTT 61? Comparable. So let's see here. LTT precision set, 61 bits. Get an outline in white. Surprised it's not gloss black, knowing LTT. Detachable hinge. I think it's because like you can't freaking tell what it is. Looks cool, but you know. Magnetic parts tray. That is an upgrade. For reference, on sale. LTTstore.com. This is $49.99, so $10 more for the LTT for 3 more bits. Can't be a deal, right? No way. So you gotta remember they got the this bendy guy, and some of the new ones do not come with the aluminum, like they call it the premium driver now. I don't think the Mako even comes with the. That looks like the rubber plastic driver now. I may be wrong. Yeah, maybe it does come with the. I don't know, they're saying supposedly S2 steel for these two. The finish on them is kind of odd for an S2 steel, if you ask me. As somebody who has. Here, for example, as I just dump shit on the floor. This is S2 steel, raw. S2 steel there. The iFixit bits are cheese-tastic by comparison. So, they do list all the bits on the back that I just tore the little flap on. If I tore the flap, that does mean that the flap should have been longer. That's all I'm going to say. When it comes to packaging, I understand why you didn't make the flap longer, because it would have gone into your design. But when I go like this, because you might get returns, or you might get people, especially if you end up opening up like a physical location at some point, or say you do have a convention again, you will have people probably wanting to open it. And what that means is that the hinge probably should have been down here. The other option is, if you look at products I've done before, they do not have this flap on the bottom here as well. That's just a normal big one, and I would then recommend opening it from the bottom, because you don't have to do this little thing, and you can just pop the bottom open. And that is because normally on the top there's a hang tag. So you need that reinforcement. Otherwise, if you put the hang tag on this top and there isn't this flap, the weight of the item will open the product up and it'll be dangling. The number of times I've seen that while working at Best Buy back in the day, ridiculous number of countings. Okay, this thing feels way smaller in the hand. This is like pocketable. This is like cargo pocketable. Wouldn't recommend. Easily baggable. I kept this in my bag when I was, I keep it in my repair bag, my repair tool bag, which I should at some point be making a video about. And I kept this is the Mako. The Mahi apparently is the bigger one. I keep the Mako. That's why I recommend buying them separately. You can, for a little bit cheaper, I believe, buy them together as one kit, but it's a much bigger. It's like 2 times as wide, kind of. Keep this one in your backpack if you're doing on-site work, and then keep the other one in your tool bag. That way, if it's small laptop stuff, or up to like a Philips 2, or up to a Torx, I don't know, what does it go up to? T25. You can at least try to take it off, or like take a crack at it. And then if it ends up being something bigger where you need bigger tools, you go to the vehicle. I mean, for those that know what tools look like and stuff, you can see that this plastic's worn down, smoothed over, dinged up. You can see there's, like, I use my shit. That's why also in here there's like a mix of, you'll find some of the older bits in here randomly. Like this is an older one. Because you can see that it doesn't narrow down for the tip. There will be a couple of those in here because I stole them from one of my other sets because I had stripped out the one that was in there, and that's what was available. I'm not too picky. Ooh, that looks really nice. So we're going to take, because this is the set that's going to have the black one in. There we go. I think the black works in their standard kit pretty well because this orange is very bright, like almost fluorescent bright. I approve. This is a 4mm to a shorty 4mm to 1/4 inch hex adapter. Long neck here, shorty butt here. See, shorty because of their bit being shorty. And then let's see if it has a magnet in, because this is where iFixit fails. Yeah, it's a weak magnet, but it has a magnet. People are gonna be like, weak magnet, what do you mean? By comparison, I feel like this Wiha is, yeah, quite a bit stronger. I don't know. That just seems to, yeah. But they did make this. Okay, so they've already improved on iFixit in a big way, in my opinion, because they're probably taking a good chance that you're going to have either at a minimum a 1/4 inch screwdriver you may want to use these with to just get a little bit more torque or length on it. Or there's a high chance that the person that's buying the precision kit is buying or has already bought their big screwdriver. So they made their own little shorty stubby guy here that is even stubbier than their bits, I would say. Like there's more recess here to get it to fit in easier, right? But overall is actually even a little bit more stubby than their bits are. So improvement number one is that it comes with that. It comes with a magnet thing, which it says is LTT mag is what they called it. This finish on the outside, very reminiscent of iFixit's sockets. This is a 5.5, right? The LTT mag outside. Look at that. This could be the same tool. LTT's sockets themselves, they have what? This is an LTT. I think it's funny that they put LTT on every bit. I don't think they did that with the 1/4 inch. They do it on these long guys. Yeah, LTT. Quad 0. Quad zeros are hard to find, for those wondering. I have actually, Craftsman was the first precision screwdriver brand that I ever bought, because back then, back when I bought them, when I was first getting into like small electronics repair, they were a good brand back then. Like almost all home gamers, prosumers bought Craftsman because they're already in Sears. You're going to Sears. Everybody's going to Sears. Kenmore comes from there. Shopvac comes from there. There are probably name brands that you know are staples in the world for certain types of products to this day, and you do not know why they were a staple brand. And what they actually were a house brand of Sears. Like Dirt Devil, I believe, was one of them too. Those are like, oh no, it's just a brand of vacuum. No. That's Sears brand of. Yeah, like people call, in my opinion, like shop vacs. Everything's called a shop vac. Like that's how big Sears was, for reference. But Craftsman, at least of the brands of precision screwdrivers that I could buy in store, like physically go into a store, because that is how you did stuff in especially the early 90s. You're like, well, how old were you when you were going physically in a quite young actually. But I don't know, comes from my dad being an electrical engineer, you know. And also like that's when consoles were like being big, you know, like N64. I remember being gifted one. Prior to that, my grandpa was actually playing. He loved Donkey Kong. That's why I play Donkey Kong Country to this day. I remember him even having to learn, because that's where I played SNES, was over there. But I remember when he had to learn the N64, and he's got the strategy guide trying to figure out how to play Donkey Kong 64. He got everything in that, like literally every item. If I recall, he'd play a bit after lunch every day. They'd bring it out on the kitchen counter, have a little TV in the corner. But yeah, so that's why I was playing some Donkey Kong Country. It's a fun game in general, but you know, nostalgia, memories, that sort of stuff. But like, so from a very also, you know, certain parts of the family very into firearms. You need small stuff like this for that. So, but way back in the day, the only brand that would sell you a precision screwdriver in a quadruple zero was Craftsman. And you at minimum had to buy a Phillips set in order to get it. And I eventually saved up, you know, between your Christmas money, your birthday money, and bought and I still have it to this day. And I even had to warranty out some of the tools at certain points, you know, just from use. I don't really need to use it anymore, but I still have my original Craftsman precision screwdriver set. The one annoying thing is I bought them a little bit later. I don't remember. It was like as they're transitioning away from Made in the USA for some of that stuff, and they have rubber grips on them, and sometimes those will slip, and you gotta like re-glue them down and or just take them off completely. But yeah, so that's my story of how hard it used to be. Like, there was one place, like, you couldn't, I don't even know if 4mm bits were a thing back then, to be truthful. Like, I don't even know. Maybe we should ask Gemini. Oh, we're currently using the phone that would have actual proper Gemini access. But yeah, I don't even know when the 4mm bit was introduced. It's within my lifetime, I can tell you that. So let's just take a quick peeky sneaky peek. These are done in a weird way. Like, it goes 2.53, 3.54, 5, 3.8, and 4.5, but these are not hex. These are like e-torques, external torques. It's like a type of safety screw otherwise. Whereas we got 2.53, 3.5, 4, 5, 5.5. They don't have a 5.5 here. And a magnet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus those two guys. Let's see here. Hex. They have security hex? I don't know that I've ever seen security hex. Are they smoking something over at LTT? Hey, I'll take them. But yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen security hex. Security torques are a thing. I was using those back when I was doing support. Why is my work laptop on again? I know they're doing patching this weekend, but like, what the fuck? This is like the third or fourth time it's been on. I can always tell because it always, like, when it actually is on and doing things, it is not a quiet thing. So, you know, here we've got Allen up to 3, 3.5, 4. They have 4.5 and 5 on, what is OVA 1? It's an oval? Interesting. I don't know that I've ever seen an oval screw as a security type. They do not. They have security prong style. iFixit only has 2. LTT has 3. Well, they got the standoff screw. Interesting. We've got one of those here, standoff. Let's see here, standoff. Square, we've got 1, 2. Oh, where are our squares? I just saw them. We got 0, 1, 2 for square. I didn't even know there was a 0 for a square. Makes sense, though. Probably because they're Canadian. Phillips, we've got... Oh, this is JCIS. So we've got 000 JCIS. Did they forget the JCIS in here? No. That's why. Torxy boys, square boys. I don't think... Okay, so here's one that's interesting. At least from what I can tell. So we've got hex guys, flat guys, triangle guys, or technically these are the Y ones, which are nope, those aren't pentalobe, trilobes, triangles, standoffs. Then we have Torx down to T2, up to T25, 0 square in there. We got pause drive, which we do not have in iFixit. Okay, so your Europeans are going to be happy. You got pause drive 0, pause drive 1. We've got 3 forky guys. Apparently a 4, 6, and an 8. What are these labeled as? These are labeled 6 and 8. Okay, so expand on that a little bit. I see these all the time on things, so probably a bad idea there. I said not probably bad. So then we got pentalobe, super important. Pentalobe 5. The number of Apple things that use pentalobe 5. Fucking everything. Sim tool, whatever. Then we have Phillips quadruple 0, triple 0, double 0, 0, 1, 2. 1, 2 here is important because that's what you would normally build your PCs with, and at least you have a screwdriver in a pinch to do some basic stuff. For the longest time, I saw brands, major PC building brands, that were using iFixit kits like this to build PCs. Prior to iFixit having the tapered bits like that I just held up, which was a J1 for JCS one. Here you go. Prior to the tapered bits like this, see how it tapers down? We can look at it even more with the tapered bit on P1. Right? Prior to that, iFixit kits didn't have a Phillips 2. So everybody you saw using this to build a PC, if you look at this, it's not blunt like that is. That's a 4mm Phillips 2. They were actually using, incorrectly and probably potentially stripping screws, using a Phillips 1, not a Phillips 2. And then if you combine that, like this guy, with the Phillips 1 in the Flexi Extendo thing, and this doesn't seat properly already, and they're using it like this to build a PC, no. The number that I saw that were doing that was far too many. It's probably a good thing if you're running when iFixit came out with the Phillips 2, you can buy their bits individually for those wondering. And because I have 1 or 2, maybe even 3 kits that don't even have a spot for this, so I just hide it under the screwdriver or the extension over here. But I bought each of them a Phillips 2, and I even have a bunch of extra bits because if you want to build a PC and you don't have access to a bigger screwdriver and you have bought one of these extensions or the knockoff ones, that is about as close as you get to my ultimate screwdriver, a precision number 2. Building PCs with this, that is about as close to my ideal as possible. The next closest you get is going to be Scout Leather Co., either the
the big boy Bernoulli, or your hex bit driver. You know, both those with a power bit in them.
Like, did he just throw up a little bit in his mouth? Yes. Now, what gets even closer is this RC car bit handle with these. Who makes those? UXL, something like that, off of Amazon. That are actually milled down to 4mm bits. So even though this is a 1/4 inch quick change chuck here, right? They're milled down to 4mm here. This is, if this spun, which this cheap handle doesn't. Also, it's very front heavy because of this quick change. If somebody can make a good version of this handle that has like a metal, like a bearing on here, just put a mount and then do what Scout Leather Co does and put a skateboard bearing on the end. That would balance out the screwdriver weight-wise and, you know, like this way-wise because of this chuck on the front here, right? And it would actually spin properly and stuff. The other thing that's not great about these is they only take the big bits. Somebody would put a better chuck on there that can take the big bits. Like, what I mean is that like a power bit, like an impact driver bit like this, and takes a normal 1/4 inch bit, like any decent screwdriver or drill would. That'd be great. The other thing is with this, the way it is, there's like technically what's holding it this way right now is the magnet. You can actually pull it out because of how poor the chuck is. Now this thing comes in like a kit with bits. For it's like hex bits and Phillips 1 for RC cars for like sub $20. It is not the best thing, but this is about as close as I can get to my perfect, specifically PC building screwdriver. It's close. It could get a little bit better. If you're wondering, that looks like silver or whatever. That was black. It was like that. It was anodized that color black, right? I've worn it off. That's how cheap the tool is. But I bought one of those handles for each one of my kits because it's basically doing what this does, but a little bit better. You don't have a lot here torque wise, like holding this into there. You got that much, a little bit more on a standard iFixit one. Some of it gets just a little too iffy for my like I was trying that for a while. There's not enough to the handle with this to really give her. But that was my thought, and it's pretty darn close. I've built PCs with that before. I'd rather have this, you know, like a full size, but you really need that really slim shank to get into a lot of small weird places. But yeah, so we have JCIS here, which is important. Now, a lot of brands use JCIS, and you could technically use Phillips. A lot of people don't even know the difference or why you would want to use JCIS over Phillips, etc. JCIS generally is more pointed. And the blades are not tapered. They're much more square. They're not as square as a pause drive, which actually has flat sides on it. So like you cannot, I mean, you might be able to get away with it, but like using a pause drive in a JCIS or in a Phillips, it's going to be a little loosey-goosey. The other way around might, you know, because these are very squared off, very flat sides, and there's those inner ones to prevent cam out. There's like inner things. If you see like a Phillips with a cross in it, that's pause drive. That's why I was saying if you build IKEA, because all of IKEA uses that. Now this is a JCIS, and you're like, that doesn't look any different than a Phillips. It is, slightly. So if we want to compare the iFixit to itself, I think this Phillips one is a replacement, because we wrecked the original by using it. But your nose is pointier on the JCIS. Your sides are different. You'll have to look up some stuff where they do close-ups of it and they compare the profiles. They look very similar, but if you use a JCIS in a JCIS screw, like a lot of Honda motorcycle guys need JCIS for tuning their carburetors, is always the joke, if I recall correctly.
it just fits way better. You can use a Phillips in a JCS. You will strip it. If you ever see the bottom of a lot of Dell laptops, from my experience, and I forget which manual I saw it in, but like they use JCS, not Phillips. And using a JCS screwdriver in there is it just locks in so much nicer. It's worth it, you know, like and some of those can be really in there because of Loctite and stuff like that. So I mean, I am kind of bummed. Now, what some places have done is because and the other big thing is JCS. Okay, like Phillips. Some people say Phillips was designed to cam out because they didn't have torque control back then. Others would argue it wasn't designed to cam out. The places that use it as like torque control were just happenstance, as in that was what we used, and it did that at a certain point. So, oh, that's tight now, you know, sort of thing. From my understanding, Phillips came out of Henry Ford wanting to use Robertson and not wanting to pay for it, basically. So, there you go. That's why we got Phillips. Is because slotted screws suck. Never use slotted screws. Henry Ford didn't want to pay for Robertson. JCS is kind of an improvement on Phillips, as in it's designed to cam out less or not cam out at all. It is better. What was I getting to? Oh yeah. These Phillips, they don't say they're Phillips, they just say number 1. They may actually be JCS and not Phillips. They may have decided to do that. Because some people have found that using a JCS screwdriver, even on a Phillips screw, it'll cam out less. I don't know if that was in its original intention. You guys will have to do some of that research. Get back to me down in the comments, or run our Discord. Also linked in the description with some of the products we have. Yeah, bummer not to see some JCS, because there are stuff. There is I shouldn't say there are stuff. There is a lot of stuff. Apple devices use JCS if they predate using Pentalobe or Torx, or you know, and then the bigger ones. I don't know where it switches from JCIS to JIS. Might be in Phillips too. That's why there's a J1 and not a J2. I don't know for sure. Those of you living in, you know, Asia can let me know with that, because I generally speaking, we only encounter JCS on things imported from mainly Japan. Like I said, Dell's made in China, so I guess I don't know why all of those laptops aren't just using, like, why are we using Phillips in laptops anymore? Just use Torx. Like, I don't get it. If anyone knows the answer to that too, let me know. So I actually really like the fact, really like the fact that the LTT is smaller. And I don't know, well, obviously because they would lose a bunch by not including this extension. But they just managed to fit in more laterally and kind of go around the screwdriver that it works. It's just also the rounded corners, whereas these are very squared off corners. Really nice. The orange internal, I don't know, I've been trying to show that this whole time, but maybe from this you can see it is way easier to pick out a bit with this orange backing. You could do a lime green, you could do a yellow. Orange is one of the better ones though to do. You just need a bright interior, and it makes it way easier, way easier to find what you're looking for. Even this blue, if you look under this black, they have the blue, which is their other color right in there. Should have flipped it. You should have the black or the blue on the top. Would be way easier to read and make out. That's why LTT puts orange on the inside of their bags. I know Luke requested it as well too, because he had an older backpack that did something similar. And was like, that was one of the best things about it. It might have even been one of their previous sponsors. Yep. iFixit still has the black interior. They could easily fix this by, and I know what they're going off of because a lot of tool companies will do this. They will do the colored base foam because it's a different type of foam, and then the black top foam. I don't know if that's easier to engrave or etch or something like that. But a lot of tool companies, like when I get a foam insert with tools for my toolbox, they will do the same thing. You'll see green for Vim, for example, and they'll have green bottom foam, maybe with a black bottom layer, green foam in between, and then black layer top. iFixit should really look into doing their nice bright blue foam on the top, on the outside there. You know, but how many of these do they have in stock? When are they going to update them? Who knows? According to them, the reason why they dropped the LTT sponsor is not because LTT is a competitor, though they basically showed they were not happy that they came out with a precision bit set themselves, but was because they were focusing on other things for advertising, like their portable soldering iron, which is it's actually a pretty cool kit. I will admit that. But yeah, in this case, and you gotta remember, these came out more than 10 years ago now, I want to say. I might be wrong. At least 5 years since this updated shell. Well, no, it's going to be at least that because I was using these at my previous job, which was, I started almost 5 years ago at this point. You know, because I've been at my current one 3 years, then I worked there for you, that'd be 4. And if you go to when I actually started working there, you know, and we had these in store at Best Buy / Geek Squad for the longest time too. So I would say like 10 years has been since this. I'm not saying that this design is bad. I'm just saying that, hey, somebody else made a better improvement competitive version in that time. But yeah, no JCS, kind of a bummer. If you're repairing older Apple stuff, not the kit to get, you're gonna need JCS. So let's see here. In here we had, okay, so we made it down to the JCS. Then we have Torx. This goes to 25. This we already knew goes 2 to 25. This goes 2 to 25. TR9. Then we have some. Oh, so iFixit does have their weird security sockets. They have a 3.8 and a 4.5 up here. I think those are actually for Nintendo specifically. LTT just moved them up by the actual other sockets. Sim tool, LTT's is here. I think that's a better placement. iFixit's is like randomly in the middle of the thing. It's probably wherever they found a place to put it. The things that should kind of be on their own are your 1/4 inch adapter, your magnet, and your sim tool. Those should kind of be like on the edges, like here. Perfect. 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 Look, lower left. You know. Upper, fine. What the heck is this doing over here? I can tell you on my older iFixit kit, they definitely put that all the way up in the upper right corner. I believe it was on. Or at least in a, yeah, it's not like next to flathead number 1, at least. So this has flathead 1mm through 4mm. This has flathead 1mm through 4mm. Okay, that's comparable. This has tri-wing bits or tri-lobe bits. No, the tri-lobes are the triangles. The tri-wing, 000, 00, single 0. It doesn't have a number 1. Does this have a number 1? I'm blind. It does have a 1. Yep. Okay. So and then 2 and 3 in the triangle bits. Yep. This has 2 and 3 in the triangle bits. In the pentalobe, we got 2, 5, 6. Here we have 2, 5, 6. Here's one place that LTT is doing better. Quad 0 Phillips. Okay, you're not seeing it. Quad 0 Phillips next to the SIM card tool. The smallest that iFixit goes is triple 000. That's huge. That's huge. Like I said, this was the bit that I was literally buying specific sets, and this is one of the things I would still be going back to that Craftsman set all these years for Quad Zero. Another one that I would go back to is the Phillips 1 in that Craftsman set has a really skinny shank. I have other precision sets. My Fellow set, actually all of the Fellow set have the same size shank, right? Except for, and like it's this skinnier, except for Phillips 1. Phillips 1 then goes to beef shank, just this beefy guy, and it just doesn't fit into things. Other brands do the same thing. It's like they go the wrong way. It's like, no, I need a more precise Phillips 1, not a less precise one, you goobers. Yeah, you want attention from me, Pacey. I know. I'm almost done. Yeah. Being pawed at from the side. You guys can't see it. So props to LTT. Better placement of magnet and the 4mm 1/4" adapter. Okay, Pacey wants to be on my shoulder. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And we go quad 0, 000, 00, 012. Bang on. So the real difference here from LTT in the 61 to 64 is we're missing JCIS. Well, shit. You know? So hopefully you are somebody who does not need JCIS. What other ones are we missing? Because we gained pause drive. So they ditched JCIS for pause drive. And to be truthful, I would have to check them on this. These Phillips may actually be JCIS because, you know, like a JCIS can work better and not cam out in a Phillips. But if you use a Phillips in a JCIS, well, those of you that have taken apart whack tons of Dell laptops will know what I mean. You can very much tell that somebody's been in there, because all the screws have their little corners on all the screws have been like they're black oxide screws. They're silver, and they're turned up like they're marred a little bit. So what else are we missing? Because what did we say? 61 versus 64. Tri-lobe, check. Triangle, check. Philippe. Yeah, we actually have one more Philippe. Right? So maybe that's our +1 that we didn't have before. Because we're +1, +3. So if we're down 7 now. How are we down 7 bits? Oh yeah, that weird oval one. LTT does not have. You're wrecking my sweatshirt. You are wrecking. Oh my gosh, kitten. She's pulling all of this with her claws get stuck in it, and she's pulling on. Oh my gosh, this looks horrible, Paisley. It does. And then once you noticed you were doing it, you were going after it purposefully. Oh, kitten. Really? I have to show my mom this. She is gonna be like, damn cat. I agree. God damn it. Trying to be nice to the kitten who wants attention while I'm trying to shoot the video, and she's wrecking my nice new sweatshirt that you guys saw. By digging her claws in and pulling. Here. You'll have to see this upside down. But taking your claws in and pulling these guys out. Look at that. It's not ruined by any means, but like, come on. Do you really have to do that? Look at this. All these little... It was all nice like over here before. And now we got... And yes, I knew there was a chance it could happen because the other one kind of purposely has that stuff. But this is like if her claw gets cut in it at all, and then she would get caught in it, and she'd like I would say like it, but she'd go after the fact that it was caught in there and pull, like, you know, like play in it effectively. Oh, yeah, get in. So we're down pause drive, which is JCS 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Square drives we added as 0. That's 1. Oh, they gained one of these too, little fork guys. Their hex goes 4.5 and 5. This just goes up to, so we lost 4.5 and 5 here. Their big hex obviously has that, but we have 4. Sorry, 4.5 and 5. There's some stuff up here we lost too. 2, 3, 1.3, 2, 3, 1.3, 0.9, 0.7. So what we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that were missed. They're missing from here. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that were added. So we're only down 1 bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it doesn't count. So 7 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7 times 8 is 49 plus 150. So we have 50 bits here, actually, despite this being a 64-piece set. Sure. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. No. 7 times 8 is 54. No. 8 times 45. My brain is... I should be going to sleep. Let's put it that way. As we get from having a 2-hour video, I can't do simple math. Watch me have my brain being correct again. 63. Yeah, 7 times. What? That didn't make any sense. So 63, 64 bits. Okay, that my brain. Yep, brain wrong math. Why did I think it was 45? I don't know, guys. We need to finish this video is what we need to do. Whereas this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. So we killed a whole row. That's how they got the case so much smaller. There's a whole row missing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, that's a whole... We didn't find that many more missing bits, though. Legitimately. Ah, so here's what they also did. This row's 7 bits, and instead of doing here where we did 7, 7, 7, 7, we're doing 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8. That's how we're doing it. So I'm like, that doesn't make any freaking sense. But yeah, so minus JCIS, we're just trading a couple bits here, a couple bits there. In general, minus the lack, because we have quad 0, we have a little bit better placement of, and that's kind of what I said about LTT in the beginning. I thought, like, their screwdriver for me, worse. I think the ergonomics of this guy from iFixit are better. Hold it here. If you go like this, that's, like, that being here is much closer to there, right? Or if you go like this, you know, that sort of placement is much nicer. This has to be, no, you're not doing that, and that you're not doing, because that's so far away. There's so much tension in your hand. Like, you want it to be right there, but it's going to be kind of hard to spin because it's not round, right? I also argued, too, about the flats. Flats here are where your hand pushes down and grips it. How you grip a precision screwdriver is here, not back here. I mean, I guess you could do that, but the flats don't feel big enough, and I don't think they can be if you want to fit bits in there. This is where the flats on the iFixit make more sense, because they're giving you a place to put your thumb to really twist on, just like they do here. You know, you're getting a little bit more surface area, I guess you could say. So the flats being back here to me doesn't make as much sense on a precision screwdriver with how you use one. Also, many ways that I use, now if you hold it in your palm and you spin it like this, distance is better, right? But for any other way of doing it, either in your palm this way, like I often do, I'll go like that, and then I spin it, nope. Or if you do the classic, like here, if you put it in front of that second knuckle, I don't know. Here, this is fine, like this. But if you want like this method, having the shorter, like the ergonomics, in my opinion, of the iFixit, and yes, I've been using it now, apparently, we found out, for more than 10 years. Actually, I don't know if that one's come out that long. But you know what I mean. If you go back to the silver one, you'll actually see what's worse about it. A lot of the things that are worse about the silver iFixit screwdriver are in this. LTT made a number of compromises to be able to fit bits in here, which for me, as somebody who's going to carry this around, right, or the iFixit with iFixit out and the LTT in, people are like, oh, it doesn't fit. Yeah, just mash it in there. It fits. It's foam. I wouldn't put bits in it, because I would wonder if they're not in my kit. I would wonder where the frick they are. You know, so then I'd have to buy, and you can buy from iFixit dedicated bits. I don't believe that's the thing you can do with LTT, is buy dedicated single replacement bits. So that's like I said, another thing there. And maybe you guys let me know down below, what bits would you take in your precision screwdriver? I would think, since we don't have JCS, is probably like a Phillips one, a Phillips 00, a T5. That would fit the inside, but if I was willing to stick one on the outside as well, a 2? Yeah, definitely a 2. So Phillips, 1, 2, 00, skip the 0, nothing uses 0. And it's probably a T5. Or if I was dedicating this to precision, probably instead of the T5, a T6, because some things do commonly use a T6. You could let me know down below. That would be able to, you could carry this in your pocket. Okay, then you wouldn't want one in the tip, so you'd probably want a Phillips 1, 00, and a T5, I would say. If you're carrying this in your pocket, like you want to be able to pull it out and take something apart real quick. I can tell you I probably wouldn't ever need to do that, because any place where I'm going to need to do that at, I will have my bag. This will fold up in my bag and come with me. You know, this is, like I said, almost pocketable. This is like 2 smartphones thick. 2 thick smartphones thick. you know. And when I was working on site, I had to have a work phone, and of course, I'm still going to carry my personal phone. So I was nearly carrying, I mean, not this thick in my pocket, but you know, there's a decent chunk in my pocket because I had them both in the same pocket because my other pocket was already full of a pen, my AirPods, my wallet, you know, that sort of stuff. But this you could easily put in a back pocket as long as you're not going to sit on it. Could easily fit in a front pocket, or I have like some side ones on my 511s because when we were on site techs, you couldn't have cargo pants, but the 511s kind of are tactical pants, you know. So they had some additional pockets that weren't cargo pants. You know, they're big pockets on the sides, even though that would have been very useful for the type of work I was doing. I at least could get some more pockets out of the 511s. So with that in mind, like I said, the LTT is missing JCIS. There's a chance, and I might ping them about that, that the JCIS, the Phillips in here are actually JCIS and not Phillips. That would make sense to me to a certain extent, you know. Otherwise, I prefer the layout. You know, Sims here, adapters here, magnets here. They're all like on the weird corners where you'd know where to grab them. And the other ones you can find as you get used to the layout. You know what I mean? As for like what did LTT kind of like quote unquote steal from iFixit? I mean, I guess the form factor. They were the first one to make this with this foam insert with these little ones that tilt back like this. I have a wood one from them that just has small holes that were drilled to put them in like this, like boop, and it takes up way more space. That was what they had prior to this. That's back when they had like this one other bit I pulled where they're all hex the whole way. This bit probably actually came from one of those sets. So they would more exactly fit into the wood, like 4mm drilled wood circles. The bit choice would be a big thing. I don't know that you can necessarily patent that. Also, since this has been around so long, there are many a Chinese brand that will knock this off. What iFixit did in like when they made these, and even in the earlier days, is they basically got all the way back. They were getting all the uncommon bits that like you couldn't get. Some of the specialty Apple bits wasn't possible, right? So they actually made them available. Like some Chinese brands would make them, but they make them shitty. You know, when I make them shitty, it's like they'd be out of there'd be single use tools. You know, and as a tech who's repairing that sort of stuff every day, you don't want a single use tool. These bits are still by no means amazing. If you're going to do day in, day out the same exact bit, and you're at a workbench and you're like, I am the tech support for Lenovo for a company or for a company that only services Lenovo's, I would buy dedicated, very high-end screwdrivers of the bits you need to service your Lenovo's, and keep a second set of them around. You know, or if you have 2 workspaces, keep 3 of them. That way, you know, if they do strip out, you just send it out for warranty or put in an order for another one, and you're using those, because then you can get them. It'd be like, yeah, with this, we normally need something longer. Like you'd have to put the extension on every time. You know what I mean? Just buy the longer screwdriver then. Or if you like, around here, I like a long Phillips one and a normal blank Phillips one for working on stuff like that. I have 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 different lengths of Phillips 2 for building PCs that are that 4mm thickness one, because you can order them in I think 50mm length differences, like boop 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 boop. You know, like you name it, you can put an order in for it. As they get longer, and as you get off of more common lengths, they get more expensive and less in a pack, etc. But you know, so like the big thing here would be the selection of bits. As in, iFixit found that these were the ones that people were going to need most common for fixing small electronics in the house. You know, and they also include ones, you know, like the Nintendo ones that are rather hard to get elsewhere, or if you were to get them elsewhere, just kind of like cheap one-time use. Like I have a Nintendo repair kit from prior to this being a thing that has all the various Nintendo bits with single individualized screwdrivers with like just clear blue resin handles on them, I think, or maybe red resin. Like they're, and it's like you could see the seam lines on those from 25 feet away. Like they are as cheesy as can be. But hey, that was enough to get us into SNES, as well as plenty of controllers and some other stuff, when needed. So like that's what iFixit could say. Now they've been doing this for a long time. At this point, like they haven't, LTT hasn't taken any patented stuff. Like, yeah, they've got magnets in the corner of the holder. Here they do too. In this case, it's so that you can put screws in here, and you can put that on top like that. Ta-da! Right? Now, one downside to the iFixit, and I think they did this to be more slim to go in your bag. You see how it's a rounded top? That also means when your cat goes over to here and goes like this, it flings your screws that are over there. Or if you yourself go to grab a screw here and hit it, and these go, whoa! Still, just thought about my hoodie and what the dang kitten did to it. Sigh. She just wanted attention. I thought I'd put her on my shoulder, but no. Gotta find stuff and attack it and then keep going at it. Okay, so here's some cool stuff about LTT, right? This smaller case is much more handy. Like, I'm used to the iFixit one. I have their, this is the Mako, I have the Mahi. This fits in your hand relatively fine. Fits in your bag in the slot, like where your charger might go. Relatively easy. Like, you can see all the wear on mine from in and out, in and out. Like I said, this was out often, multiple times a day. This is just a much more compact casing here. There is a bit of a plastic lip here. I don't know if you can hear that. That's from molding. Definitely not intended. If I took a... It's actually a little sharp. Hear that? If I took a... That's actually kind of sharp on there. What do you want to call that? Not a burnishing tool. I really need to buy one. It's on my Amazon, in my Amazon cart for like a year or two now. I think it's been like 5. Like every time I need it, I haven't ordered it, so then I just don't order it because I do it with like a razor blade or something else. Here, let me grab it. What you need is this guy. There you go. There, deburring tool. Right there. See that little like hooked guy right there? Yeah, deburring tool. Run that along the edge would clean that right the heck up. So this lip, there's like definitely a seam right there around the whole thing that could be deburred. I guess you call it a burr. I'm thinking because it wasn't metal, but you know, it's like a plastic burr. So finish on there. That same sort of thing is not on the, oh, actually I cut that off. There was some on the iFixit. I got frustrated at it, and I could tell on here that it wasn't done as great of a job. So all I did in here, like, what do you mean what you did? You take your utility blade with a nice fresh blade and you just go shink, and it pulls off like this really small piece of plastic. If I did that right now to the LTT all the way around it, you would get off this I don't know if you can hear or see that. You would get this little stuff coming off right there. See all that? This is now much smoother. I need to do that around the whole thing. I'm actually going to use that because that sharpness would annoy the living crap out of me on that plastic there. And pays me back because I'm still not done. So you might want to do that. You just get yourself out a nice sharp utility blade. Ideally, like this has got a DeWalt carbide in there. Irwin bimetal at a minimum, I would say, or a high carbon steel Olfa would do. I like, even more so than DeWalt carbide, I prefer the Fiskars carbide. Yeah, or if you just have a standard cheapy one, just make sure you got a real fresh one. This one's seen some use. You can kind of see at the tip there. Most of these utility blades aren't used more towards the middle, so if you use that, you'll have probably like a little sharper blade than you normally would because you often use the tip. Now I need to make it the rest of the way around, and often you want to go, like because of where I stopped, it had some high spots, so you're going to want to just kind of casually, very, very lightly run it one way and then the other way around the whole thing, and you'll get like little stuff like that coming off, and then this will have this nice smooth beveled edge here rather than the sharp pokey that I was feeling when just handling it in my hand. Oh gosh, you guys died. Apologies. Handling with my hand, yes. Pretty obvious, I guess. So that's what I would do. Just be careful about it. You don't use much pressure. That is why you want a nice sharp blade on there. It's because you can kind of just drag it along and it'll catch that, like the burr that's on there effectively. You just kind of, I think I made a whole video about doing that to a SteelSeries. SteelSeries used to make really good hard mouse pads. Well, I made the QCK Hard. And oh my god, I was chewing up. I was using it for work. And it was chewing up my wrists because the edge of the plastic was so friggin' sharp. And I had to bevel it myself. Because apparently they couldn't figure, like, listen. Right? Versus. Because I haven't done that side yet. So that should come out of the factory beveled. Now, I'll admit, I thought that they had done it on the iFixit, and I did it. I can tell. And I didn't do the top up here. I did here, though. Probably because this is the side, you know, I either hold it like this or like this, that I feel. And I was very much feeling it when I was grabbing it and holding it. Even here, it was catching the palm of my hand. That's how sharp that, here. So just a touch of extra finish work could go a bit there. I feel so much better with it smoothed over. And yes, all I did, you know, like 45-degree angle, and you just kind of and it'll, if you saw it, it didn't hit anything this time. And you can see there's a little bit of, you can see the edge there. It's a little bit whiter. I don't know how to, like, you can tell I missed a spot right there. Probably because when I stopped. But there you can see where all my schmoo from my hand is catching on that lip. Whereas over here, because it's got that, just, and all you do is take, like I said, take the sharp blade, and it'll catch that little bit of flashing is another word for it when it comes to plastic, on the edge. Do that. It won't do stuff with your hands. Something else really nice, nicer. Okay, so iFixit did ship with having the cross thing in there. That is not bad. Also, you can go like that, and you can hide it so that cats can't get it. You can still tip over and unsort them, though, which I've had happen. Now it's like, do you want to deal with the sorting and unsorting, or the potential flicking of stuff, which I've done far too many times? Or do you want this more beveled thing to better fit in and out of bags because it's not as pointy on the edges? See, that's... Now, for somebody that actually used this day-to-day, I will say this not being flat. So also, if you have the Mahi and the Mako together, this not being flat, if you had magnets in the top and you could stack them, that would be amazing. Now, I can understand if you want to put it in like a singular pocket like I've done in my bags where I put it where like the chargers go in your backpack. It fits perfectly. But like I said, if this was flat, you would actually get a little bit more storage. You wouldn't have these like half-ass separators here. And you wouldn't have this issue of flinging screws or tipping even once this is on there. Now, I do try to keep it away from the cats. I've also just dropped things on the edge. Oh, I accidentally put something down wrong and yeet things. Now, how has LTD improved on that, right? Well, it's got a hinge for one. That has to come apart always. And you're like, where do you put this, right? It's attached. So it's always going to be right next to this. The other thing, though, is it can detach. Wow, look at that. So if you want it like the other one, you can do that. And you just move this around, right? The other thing is it can also stack magnetically, just like this has got a bit of that stuff too. I'm probably going to take... you can do it with an X-Acto as well, if you have an X-Acto knife. Those are technically even sharp, usually even sharper and harder than, and more precise than a utility blade. I use utility blades more often, so I have more control over them, like so I know how much pressure to put on here. If you use an X-Acto more often, you know, like you hold it up, probably point up, and kind of like, and it would slice that off. Super easy. The one thing that I found with X-Acto, with them being sharper and their taper being, you know, like say if utility blade's tapered like this and X-Acto's tapered like that, they're a much sharper point. Like the bevel is thinner. They're a thinner blade, sharper point. So your angle of approach to this is going to be much more shallow because you don't want it to catch. Okay, so if this is angled a certain way, right, you need to keep this blade, like anytime you're cutting something out, you have to keep this blade like angled like that. Well, on an X-Acto, you want it like that because the angle of the blade, you know, like say if that's a utility blade, that's an X-Acto blade. Because the more onto the surface you have it like this, the more it's going to catch and dig in, and you don't necessarily want that because you're just trying to take off that little bit of excess that's on there. So if you're using an X-Acto, be careful. They are sharper. They will be more prone to dig in, and you have to, like, now if you're choosing the X-Acto because that's what you're more used to using, you probably already know what I'm talking about. So then don't worry about it. And do you. But yeah, you do not need much. Like, use the sharpness of the blade and the fact that this is just a little bit of excess plastic, effectively, that's just not rounded over and beveled to take it off. Like, you saw it, it's just a little bit. I wasn't even putting any force on it, just came right off. I'll probably have to do the same to this top lid as well, because it's not as bad as the bottom lid, because I believe the top goes over the bottom. Yeah, a little bit. Like the bottom sticks up into the top just a hair too. But this is super easy. Whoever engineered this whole thing, that's amazing. Please make your bit case very similarly, because they're working on a bit case for the 1/4" bits now, which I've said it. I was like, hey, of some of my buddies that have finally bought the LTT Screwdriver on Black Friday because of the good deals that they had. Dude, you have no idea how many of those I sold for them. Like, I didn't sell them for LTT, but like, I knew people who have been over here and used this and have wanted one. Let every one of them know, and I think every one of them bought one. So, or some other people that were just interested in it and just like weren't willing to buy it at the normal price, and then they copped one on Black Friday. It was more than 10. Let's put it that way. Maybe some of you guys too. If you're in our Discord, we were talking about that. Maybe you hopped on that train. It was a banger deal. I already had people like, oh, aren't you picking one? I'm like, dude, I have 3. And if they plan on making either the stainless steel or the steel or the aluminum one, or they make they're working on the clear resin one right now, I'll probably buy any and all of those. So I do not need another standard plastic one. If they do come back with the colored ones, I may buy my mom a pink one because they last sold off all of the excess colored parts variants from LTX at like online as just completely one color. Or if they have a custom one, you never know, I might make another custom if they had different colors or something. But I am good. I rock that yellow one. That's the first thing I grab when, oh, you gotta do something around the house. That's the first thing I grab. This is the one that Polychrome Na was built with. Peyton grabbed this. It had, like I said, the correct size hexes already in there. He did all the water cooling assembly and all of, like the radiator installation and stuff like that using that screwdriver. Perfect. Yeah, so this is, and then we missed their final party trick, which is, though iFixit sells magnetic mats, this is not magnetic in there for the screw sorting tray. And be truthful, I use this more often than not because I already have this with me. So LTT put a little bit bigger boxes, which is kind of nice, and then they made it magnetic. You see that in there? Cat proof. Maybe not cat proof, but like cat resistant. Okay, so in a square here, I have put 3 bits, 4 bits. There's 4 bits. They all fell. All right. 1 bit falls. So don't drop it. It'll retain 4 bits in 1 square even. I mean, could probably do more if I got more. Like, they don't fall off. Right? Now, if you flip it over, like say if you closed the lid, they'd fall off. Almost guaranteed. Yeah, they fell off. So don't do that. It's not designed for that. Don't do that. But as long as you keep this separate and do like I would on an iFixit, keep it separate, put your screws in here, right? Because you'll probably put this off to the side, get your driver out, grab your bits you need out, and then you take apart your stuff, put your screws in here. Well, now it's magnetic, so you can move it around without worrying. And then if you need to finish it, you have to go do something else. You cap it off. This is where I was saying, I think for those of you that do not have iFixit kits, that the better part about the LTT set is not the screwdriver. I actually know very few people that are going to use the bit storage part of this, which I still haven't showed off. Here, let's do what I said. A Phillips 2. No, I said I would do a Phillips 1, a Phillips 00. That's like for Wi-Fi cards, and then a T5, T5. Here, there is no security Torx 5 because it's so tiny you can't put a hole in. So there you go. You have your 3 bits in there. Yeah, I guess if those are the ones you normally use, you can leave them in there. But for me, this thing is always going to be in here. Like that. So, all right, I want to use this. I need a 0 or a 1. Here, let's grab the 0 because it's there. Okay, I'm using it now. Well, I had to get this out anyway. Then you're going to use this and you're going to put the screws in there. So this is where I'm saying, like, I have a feeling they designed this purely because they could and they wanted it to be like that guy. I could see if you're going to carry this in your bag like this, like in your backpack by itself, and say for your drone, you're going to need certain bits for maintaining a drone that you have in your bag. Like say taking the propellers off is a certain thing, certain hex or something, right? Those don't even fit in here for one thing. The hexes don't. Well, I say they don't. I haven't tried. Here's the smallest hex. Does not fit. So it's only the smaller bits. Like I imagine these guys over here, the bigger guys, wouldn't fit either. Yeah, I guess you'd have to have a thing where you knew you needed 3, maybe 4, if you can do it with the pokey guy, or less bits that have a defined bits that you would keep them in there. Like as in you would carry not this, right? But this, right? And just the bits that are in it, and that's all you would need. And you would carry this in your bag because you presumably don't have room or don't want to carry this or whatever. Because you just don't need it because you have your bits in here. At that point, I wouldn't buy this, like this guy. I would just buy this. But then you're like, where do you get your bits? You can't buy LTT 4mm bits individually at the moment, I don't believe. And they don't replace them under warranty like iFixit does. I don't believe. You can correct me on some of that stuff down below, but from my understanding, that's considered a wear part. They don't replace these bits, right? Which is fine. iFixit, though, that's part of the nice thing about using this professionally. You can recommend it. People can pick it up at Best Buy. You can go just buy yourself a second kit of this and swap the bits out while you get your second kit and you're getting your bits replaced, because you stole them from your second kit or whatever. iFixit will replace them. You just message them, shoot a picture of your bit, they'll send you a new bit. So professionally, using it day to day, I'm going to argue that iFixit's $10 cheaper. I prefer the screwdriver in it, ergonomically at least. The LTT Screwdriver, I will admit, has a really fun fidget spinner that may annoy the people you're either employed by or paying your employer, potentially, though. And it has a really good magnet, right? But from a bit perspective, I like the longer, skinnier bits of the LTT, right? Like that. They can go in deeper because there's definitely places that... Definitely the older iFixits had hard places getting into. The newer ones are kind of fine mostly. Like the Phillips 2, if you look at that, it's like halvesies. It's like 50% neck, 50% 4mm hex. Whereas LTT is 2/3 neck, 1/3 hex. And the original iFixits or other brands like Wiha, that sort of stuff are 1/3 bit, 2/3 hex. Here, for example, there you go. 1/3 bit, 2/3 hex. If not all the way hex, like the Philips one, that's not going to fit in any laptop anywhere because it's just straight 4mm hex. That's just going to gouge out plastic. Then we have over here these really cheap ones. Actually, this is a iFixit. I have it over here to go in this TK. I forget what this one's called, but he has all the you can fit a whole set of screwdrivers in there. These really cheesy ones at the end. This is where it's like iFixit thinks they've done something, whatever. That's with a screwdriver that came with a motherboard. If you're in this kit, I use very similar. These were sold as separate parts, but they stack on top of each other. I use that for parts down there. I wish it was magnetic. You see magnets here. I wish it would have done that down there. But the ROG one, which was after iFixit had come up, but not too many years to be truthful, was just a cheesy thing that came with like 3 bits and a super extended magnet thing. This was just a pack-in with a motherboard, with a high-end ROG motherboard. It's bent. If you see how that doesn't spin at all, that's because the inside, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but the whole thing is bent. It's specifically up here that it's bent. Boop, 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 boop. And no, it's not this guy. This guy's straight. So I basically just use this. Maybe you can even tell from that it's bent.
This is what I would say cheap Chinese garbage right here. But hey, this is a magnet on a stick. So now this is just the permanent magnet on a stick handle. And we've actually used this thing fairly often to really get that deep down inside of stuff when you lose a screw, like especially an M.2 screw, where you didn't expect or weren't supposed to. But that's where, like, that's what a cheesy knockoff truly looks like. Like I said, if you have an iFixit, from that perspective, the LTT, this is the really appealing part. They have a much more compact case that actually has a hinge, so it stays there, stays together. You don't have to like find a place for that. It actually sits flat, unlike this, which I know why they didn't make it flat. It's magnetic in here, so if you take things like any screws and do sort them out, because often, say if you're doing the corner of a laptop, what I would do is pull this out, put it like this, because your laptop is wide. It's a wide boy laptop. Most laptops are wide boy laptops. You go, like normally it's corner, hinge, front, like usually 4 up front and 2 in the middle, so you could space them out like that. Perfect for that sort of thing. And it's magnetic. I do not recommend going that with screws in there. They will all fall off and fly. We kind of already proved that. However, do this, and then watch. If you do this, your cat can't knock it over and fling shit. So, I think that's better. Now, if you use this a lot, I think you should value the replacement bits quite heavily. Now, with that in mind, you might be buying, I would recommend, if you're using this on the daily, now you can figure this out fairly quickly yourself. But like how we did it is we had like one communal one back at the office because these were bought by our employer. And you could snag a bit out of there if yours like got stripped or whatever, or if you lost it, you know. And then they would handle ordering replacements, either replacing it by buying more bits or by warranting them. Usually, even here, I wait till I got a couple to do, just because it's, I have a couple of sets. If you have one set you want to get on that ASAP, they'll send it out to you. They'll just mail it via the post office. So that's really handy. LTT not doing any of that. I do like their longer neck, like their 1/3, 2/3 bits, much nicer. The orange back of their case, much nicer. The layout, as in where stuff is in it, in my opinion, just a little bit better laid out. The fact that they went 7/8, 7/8, 7/8 instead of 7 shift, 7 shift, 7 shift, let them have a much more compact case. They also don't give you the extension. Remember, this is $10 more, so you are paying a bit more. Now, if you're a home gamer that just does stuff every now and then, this is definitely the better kit, for sure. I don't know if paying for the spinny dude and the bit storage is worth it. Ergonomically, like I said, I believe this to be a worse screwdriver than iFixit's. If you check out the video when I got my screwdriver, I think this is ergonomically the better screwdriver. The knurling on here is also better. It's more rough and it's bigger. I don't know how LTT got that wrong. This knurling, to be clear, this knurling should be on there. That, perfect, amazing, on there. Yeah. This is much too fine. It barely, right? Whereas this, that's taken off my, leaving an imprint and taking off skin. That's how you want it. This is like just I don't know if it's not deep enough or what. Something about it though, it looks finer and not as deep. Like so more bumpies per area and then not as deep in there. This is amazing knurling. Best knurling, in fact. Watch a lot of even
screwdriver reviewers that use mechanics for a living or do like HVAC or woodworking, they'll all say the ratchet just feels amazing. Like it's amazingly, you know, like tight. The back drag's amazing, and this knurling. I gave this to my uncles too last Christmas, maybe 2023 Christmas, and they're like, "Oh, so you're showing me this because it's mine, right?" And I'm like, "No, I should have maybe bought them some on Black Friday when I got everybody else to." But that's how I'll be running mine. Black case, black screwdriver. If running, just even shaving this lip has made my life better because that's where you open it. Like you're going to go like that. And you can see a little bit of deviation. I didn't do the world's most amazing job, but like I said, I can tell I did it on the iFixit as well. I've had to do it on mouse pads. But I would just give it that little bit more finish if that was not a sharp edge there, especially when right here, and this is where it really needed not to be. That's why on some of this stuff that opens like this, they'll actually have like a little divot in here for you to actually catch your finger to open this better, if that makes, like there'd be like a divot in on one of these parts to separate it, or to give you a little bit more grip. Like maybe you'd have like etches, like 3, so that when you open it, you got some more grip. But not having this sharp lip there when you're going to open it, I just need, like, oh, that side, the lid on the bottom is particularly bad in this case. And don't think I'm end of the world. There are many finished products from many much larger brands that I have, and you might have even seen me on previous videos, take a utility knife to them and do exactly what you just saw. I am not afraid to do that. I've done it to many a product, and I use that utility knife for everything. It turns out, I don't remember when, probably like, I had this realization at a high school, beginning of college, that like, holy shit, utility blades are like really hard, you know. I think, you know those like 2 outlet to 6 outlet things? We didn't have like a proper saw or anything, and I remember my dad just taking a utility blade to it and cutting off the excess plastic around the thing so it would fit where it needed to, because, you know, basically it goes 2 outlets, right, to 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right, and the bottom was hitting. Now the outlet you could still get to, but like even on a switch plate, it was like cut off, and you just go over it a couple times with a utility knife and you've cut through it, because it's, utility knife is like a hardened steel edge. You know, they're way more durable than like a traditional razor blade would be. For those that know single edge razor blades, those are very sharp, but they're very fine. They're great as a scraper because they're quite flexible, but their durability really isn't there. And I realized, like, holy shit, utility knives are, like, utility blades are sharp, and as long as you get a new fresh one out there, if you're ever doing something like this, even if you have a blade on there that you're like, I could do open a couple more boxes in there. When you're cutting this, kind of like when you're starting a new project and you know you have to make a fine cut with an X-Acto blade, just get a new one out. They're not that expensive, guys. And then you can just, you want the blade to do the work, not you, you know, that sort of thing. So I personally, of the LTT offerings for their precision screwdrivers, think their case and their changes to the bits are the more important thing, actually, than their screwdriver. And I think originally they thought, like, what did they say? They thought that like it'd be like 1/3, maximum 1/3 people would be buying the kit and the screwdriver together, right? Or maybe like, and I think they were seeing at least a 50% attach rate, meaning like 50% of the time people were buying these together instead of just buying the screwdriver. They thought a lot more people would be buying the screwdriver and tossing it in, you know, kind of like what I'm going to be doing is taking this screwdriver and chucking it, you know, taking out the iFixit screwdriver and putting in the LTT, right, like that. They thought a lot more people would be doing that. I don't know. I feel like if you already have the metal iFixit screwdriver, if you don't have the metal iFixit screwdriver, yeah, buy the LTT. I've used the rubber plastic ones because my current job has a couple of those. They work, but like you can feel the whole screwdriver flex when you're doing certain things. Hey, those maybe things you maybe should or shouldn't be doing. It just, you don't feel as solid when you're pushing down and taking out a screw too. Just, okay, so if you've got a metal, or sorry, if you've got, like, here's my recommendation. If you've got a aluminum iFixit screwdriver, don't replace it. No point. No point in replacing it, right? If you've got the plastic rubber guy, yeah, upgrade it to the LTT. Play with the little fidget. You know, in my case, I'm going to put this guy into the kit that has that really, that's my one that goes in the office. It has the old iFixit silver. So yeah, if you still have, or if you have an other, like say if you just have like Wiha bits or something, and you don't have like a good precision screwdriver, and we're not talking iFixit kits, yeah, upgrade to this. Or if you have like the older iFixit silver stuff before they turned to black with blue, when silver was their color, it was like blue with silver, or silver with like blue accents. It wasn't ever. It was like silver with a black cap on it, or just silver. That's why the iFixit logo is silver. Yeah, replace that with the LTT. Right now, if you have this Mako kit that I have right here, that comes with the that came with back in the day, the aluminum driver of theirs. I wouldn't touch it. I mean, replace your crappy 1/4 inch to 4mm adapter with this Wiha one that's magnetic. And buy yourself a extension that isn't floppy non-magnetic extension. Buy yourself a straight magnetic one, even if you can't get this Wiha one because they don't make it anymore, annoyingly. And you just pull the foam out of the bottom here, and you can use this guy to hold the other guy in. And I would keep using this, especially if you're in industry, because, like I said, they'll replace your bits. Now, if you have, you know, like you saw those Wiha bits, those came, it's like a set of like 8 or something. And I think they came with one of my 1/4 inch hex adapters or something like that. And you don't have you have 4mm bits somehow, but not like a good dedicated 4mm driver. Yeah, pick one up. They're fine. I mean, like I said, though I might prefer the ergonomics and the knurling of the iFixit, this is by no means bad. I mean, especially if you want a little fidget guy. If you have no sets at all, should you consider the iFixit? I'd say, or not the iFixit, the LTT. I'd say hell yeah, because this is $40. $10 more gets you what I would consider to be a better product. I have at least 2-3 friends that have already done this, and they bought it the same time they bought this. They actually, or not actually same time, because they restocked just before the new year for shipping after New Year. That's when my kit came in. So they actually restocked after getting the big driver. They wanted to do it at the time of buying the big driver, but couldn't because LTT had sold out of all their bit sets, because a lot more people bought bit sets than they expected to buy bit sets. And I think, like I said, I think that comes down to the fact that I think people who have the aluminum iFixit driver really do not see an upgrade. You know, I don't. Why am I tossing in my kits? Well, one of my kits has the really old silver one, which is, you know, throw open your mouse a little bit, ergonomics-wise. And why do I have another one? Well, I put the black cap in here because I had 3 caps. Realistically, I only needed 2. I wanted one kit with the LTT, and then one to replace the old silver iFixit, because I'd already placed the big, because this set also had the 1/4 inch iFixit, which didn't even have the spinny bit on the end. That was already replaced a while back. But they had 3 different ends. So I was like, oh, I'll pick up a 3rd one, and I'll toss it in with, you know, this is my kit that goes in my kind of like car, my to-go bag, my actual work kit. Not that I use it all that often for work anymore, but hey, it's still set up. Might as well keep maintaining, or at least keep it on me. So this guy's probably going in there because I'm gonna most likely use. Like I said, I like putting my fingy up here and doing this sort of thing. So this one's going in the work kit over here. If you notice, that's what the iFixit actually already had, was the concave. And the convex, it sure makes a lot of sense to put into the kit that has the old silver iFixit in it. Just because that one had much more of this vibe to it. And this is probably my least likely to use one, is this domed. We do a lot of palming, or a lot of I don't know, ball of handing with this sort of end down there. Hey, I'm glad that they have options. You saw how much I struggled getting them on there, though, just for your reference. They did leave carve outs. You can look at the top here for realistically, I think with the standard flat top black, having that carve out makes it easier to get your fingy in there to get it out. But it does leave room for, if you do the ball top, like it's nice ball shape up there to actually like fit the top of the convex top in there. This is a nice little handy kit. Like I said, if you do not have iFixit already, this is just in the hand. Once I took off that little burr or flashing over here, this in the hand feels way better than this. It really does. Professionally, I don't know. To be truthful, I'd probably still go iFixit if you're using this professionally. Because you can go to, especially for an on-site tech, and you forgot yours one day, or somebody's like, what are we going to need to do this? Or you have to spec out tools. You can go to a Best Buy or a Home Depot and just buy these. You know, and in the case of professionally too, I don't know if they technically cover, if the warranty covers professional use of the bits, and then they'll still warranty them. I'm not going to say just don't say that, but, you know, just be like, hey, I bought them. Here's my receipt. Thanks. You're great. And then probably buy 2 of them. That's what I would do. And do the couple upgrades that I said. That's just from a commonality, a use thing. Because when you're doing stuff for a job, it's a bit different than personally. As in, you know, like say your Phillips 1 in here strips. You try your JCIS, doesn't fit right, and you're like, to really do this, or I'm doing enough laptop upgrades or whatever. Like say my current job bought a pallet of laptops. They only had 8 gigs of RAM with very high spec H series CPUs from Intel and dedicated graphics cards on them. So the fact that they had 8 gigs RAM is like, what the fuck? We got a deal where they shipped us the sticks RAM and said, hey, we'll basically not charge you for the sticks and give you a good deal on these laptops if you put them in yourself. Cool. Well, that's a lot of laptops. Yeah, so you're going to need that bit. You know, if it's stripped out, wore out, whatever. These kits aren't that expensive. Just go buy another, get the thing done, keep going. Can't do that with this. So different aspects. I would much rather carry this around. To be truthful, if LTT does not sell individual bit replacements or have some way to replace them, what do I think would end up happening? I think what would happen if I use this is I would end up replacing with those. And then you get the nicer case. Just for a look here, you can, like, some people are like, oh, it doesn't fit, blah, blah, blah. It fits fine. There is, because of this, like, shorter neck on here, you do squish out the foam a little bit, down a little bit lower, using the, you know, with the LTT in the iFixit screwdriver, but it's foam, guys. Like, wow, that was hard. Fits perfectly fine. And realistically gives you a little bit of room if you need to fit another bit right there or something. You could. As for the other way around, like say if you did just buy the LTT bit case because you already have an iFixit one, right? Would I say keep the LTT screwdriver? No, it will not fit the other way around. I'm sure you can make some modifications yourself. So right there is where you'd want to take, you remember that utility blade that we cut the sides off these with? Yeah, grab that same utility blade and line up going this way and that way, slice down to that spot. You now have enough for the iFixit. And all I did do this was shove it up. For those wondering, shove it up to the top, put it there, go down the bottom, push, and it marked itself. So right there, then I would just take my X-Acto blade or utility blade, probably utility blade because that's what I'd have, flip it over to a sharp side, slice it out, done. It would now take your iFixit one that you already had. Or, since you're already ordering this, buy the iFixit kit. But yeah, depending on, until I know like what, if anything, LTT is going to do for replacing these bits, for me, they'd probably end up getting replaced with iFixit bits because that's what I can get. Or if you're like the Wiha, the Wero, I think, you know, like the Wiha One Connect stuff is better, but you saw it. They do not taper at all, so using with electronics gets really, really iffy, you know. And this being $10 more than the iFixit and much less available. If you're wondering, you can get the iFixit kits on sale on Black Friday, or any of the places that I mentioned. Often you can get coupons, just general coupons for places. That won't happen with LTT. If anything, too, they also said that this current deal for $50, this and a screwdriver, not the black one. That's an extra however much. That's like a combo deal. They may drop that at some point. I don't know for sure. It's just something to keep in mind. How you use it, you know, like this is a much tighter, nicer package, but with them being a much smaller company and Canadian, support, and do you need it, right? You know, if you're a home gamer, this is beautiful. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts, comments down below. Hopefully we will see you in future videos. If you haven't hit subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. With my size as well. If you think these videos and you know, they're really short, totally. If you know anybody that would enjoy them or have input on them or like them, or gain knowledge, any of that sort of stuff, share them out, please, because with me being the size I am, the algorithm isn't doing me any favors, you know. And as always, for questions, comments, throw them down below on YouTube, or some of you have reached out and be like, oh, how do I get in contact with you, whatever. Easiest way is going to be our Discord. It's linked in the description. Direct link. Just sign on up, become a member. It's nothing fancy right now, but we've got little bits and pieces from all the different communities that I do stuff for out there. Some quite knowledgeable people as well. So hopefully we'll see you there, and hopefully you enjoy this video. Peace.